I have to tell you, I come to you today, and I want you to hear me clearly. I am not trying to sell you on anything. I have been down this road so many times over the last 30 years, and I have seen things that I absolutely believed were happening that were not. I think we have been betrayed by our government over and over again, and I believed too many people I shouldn't have. I started this weekend with, why would I give my trust to Donald Trump? Donald Trump is not the Donald Trump of 2016. Donald Trump did not do this in 2016. But Donald Trump ran and said, no more of these wars. Okay, so I want to get into that here in a second. But when I say Donald Trump is not the Donald Trump of 2016, Donald Trump came in and he just kind of, he's got such a good gut on him. He was like shooting from the gut. And he's like, I want to do this and I'm going to do that. What Donald Trump has done in the last year has been remarkably coordinated and consistent. Now, you may not agree with it, and that's fine. You may not like it, and that's fine. But you should understand it before you make a judgment on it. And it's my job to try to figure out what the hell is happening and then tell you my opinion on it. I'm not going to give you, well, I guess I will give you my opinion because I'm going to show you how I thought of this, but I don't want to give you my opinion so you follow my opinion. That's not my goal. My goal is to help you think this through because you cannot just glob onto somebody else's opinion. Okay? You're going to get lost. If you do that, if you do that and you do this about feelings or winning or my team versus their team, you're going to get lost and you cannot afford to get lost. So let me start with principle number 1. Can you hate war and still fight one? Yes, and in fact, I believe that is the only moral way to fight a war. I despise war, but this must be done, okay? There is a difference between loving war and accepting that sometimes you have to fight a war. And I'm not saying this is one of those times. I'm just explaining, can you hate war and fight one? Yes, a surgeon does not have to love the knife or cutting people up, but he does it because he has to. A nation doesn't love war. If it does, it has already become something dark and evil. But a nation that refuses to act when evil calcifies into permanence is not peaceful. That doesn't make you peaceful. That makes you negligent. So yes, being pro-peace and being willing to fight can coexist. In fact, I believe they must. And I saw that everywhere. I thought you were pro-peace. I thought you were against war. I am. Can we be adults and have an adult conversation? The deeper question is not, are you for war? The question is, what kind of peace are you trying to secure? And there are places where you go, I'm going to accept that peace. And maybe this for you is one of those places. But you can't jump to conclusions. Instead of just reacting, like I saw everybody on TV this weekend reacting, can we think like an adult for a second? First, what is the objective? This kind of goes into the just war theory, and I spent a lot of time on the just war theory. I want to know, is this just? Is this right? When do we have to step in and when do we not? Why do we step in here and not in Sudan? Okay? First, is the objective conquest? No. Is it regime change? Not sure. Is it humiliation? No. Is the objective the removal of a destabilizing terror-sponsored nuclear-seeking command structure that has choked its own people and threatened an entire region? Yes, I believe that's it, but not only that. And that's really important. If the aim is limited and strategic, disable the head of the system that fuels regional chaos, then it is categorically different from marching divisions into a country to rebuild that country in our image. Iraq was nation building, okay? This appears at this point to be decapitation and deterrence. you'll notice that he has not dictated that this will not be an Islamic state. Did you notice that? This is not the same as Iraq. I'm not saying it's better or that you have to agree with it. Please understand, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just trying to help you think it through. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me, and that's okay. My job is to help you think it through, not agree with me. Second thing, was peace attempted first? This one matters enormously. You can't just rush into war. And in the past, we have rushed into military action without creating a regional structure capable of sustaining peace afterward, okay? And maybe we haven't exhausted the road to peace. So this one is different. First of all, beginning at Jimmy Carter, we have exhausted peace. 49 years of peace talks, okay? And what's different, why I believe Donald Trump did not take this on the first time, is because he hadn't done the work. He had done the Abraham Accords, but he had not done the rest of the work that is needed. The Abraham Accords fundamentally altered the Middle East diplomacy. It brought key Arab states into open normalization with Israel. And for the first time, major Sunni powers publicly aligned around coexistence rather than we got to wipe Israel off the face of the map. So they kind of joined the Western world and went, we can kind of coexist here. Also, Hamas's military capacity severely degraded since October 7th attacks and also the war in Gaza. That shifted the strategic balance in the region. Also, several Arab nations and governments have become stakeholders in stability rather than chaos. They're no longer standing on the sidelines. They are now saying, we want peace. Okay? That's not a small shift. That is a tectonic shift. Here's what we have done in the past. We have gone in and said, we're going to bring peace. Freedom's on the march. And we're going to bring freedom to these people. You cannot bring freedom to these people. I thought we could in Afghanistan. I even kind of thought we could in Iraq. That's absolutely idiocy to think you can bring people freedom. They must fight for it themselves. They must want it themselves. So if we were going into nation build, I'm absolutely dead set against it. If you remove a destabilizing regime after regional powers are economically and politically invested in peace, the odds of a vacuum of chaos shrink dramatically. They don't go away. It still could become horrible in the end. This doesn't guarantee success, but it changes the probability curve, okay? Third thing I asked myself, can you be anti-war and still use force effectively? Yes, look at Donald Trump. This one is key. This is not, can you fight a war and be anti-war? This is, can you be against war and fight it effectively? Donald Trump is not pro-war. I don't care what any of the other pundits say that have now turned on Donald Trump, and I am not here to shovel garbage I'm not carrying any weight, any water for Donald Trump. He's a big boy. He can handle himself, okay? I'm here just to tell you how I think about things and what I have noticed. During his first term, Donald Trump authorized the strike that killed Soleimani. Okay, this is the guy that was the architect of the Iran regional proxy war. This is the guy who was responsible for killing many U.S. soldiers. Okay, when he did it, people said, "Going to set the whole Middle East on fire," but it didn't. Then ISIS, Barack Obama tried to fight ISIS for 2 terms. Couldn't fight it. Hillary Clinton goes over. She actually helps create it, make it more powerful. I mean, it was horrible. Remember, ISIS was burning Christians in cages and we did nothing about it. Donald Trump, they were killing our soldiers, and Donald Trump said, we got to do this. And all the generals said, it's going to take us 2 years. And he said, bull crap, it's going to take us 2 years. Is there anybody who has less than a 2-year plan? That's when he found Raising Cane. General Cane came in and said, I can get it done in 4 weeks. And he explained the plan. And Donald Trump said, you're either crazy or you're my guy. And he convinced him he wasn't crazy. And what happened? We wiped ISIS out. The control of ISIS collapsed almost overnight, okay? Far, far, far faster than even the most optimistic people predicted possible. Because Donald Trump started to surround himself with the people who knew what they were doing, weren't part of the system of bullcrap, and were fighting to win, okay? And that's when the message was sent by him. It was clear. Restraint does not mean weakness. There is a pattern here. He disdains prolonged occupation, paired with a willingness to use unrelenting, overwhelming, precise force with a great strategy. That's not neocon nation building, okay? That is completely different than what we did. This is coercive leverage. Fourth question. The capability that we have, does that matter morally? Yes, it does. I don't believe in a fair fight when it comes to war. I don't want a fair fight when it comes to war. I want to be so overwhelmingly powerful that it takes the oxygen out of the lungs of our enemies all over the world, and they go, oh my gosh, don't ever mess with them. That's the way to fight war. Now, one of the just war criteria is the probability of success. If you launch a war that you cannot win, you are not moral, you are reckless. If this president had demonstrated that when he uses force, it's targeted, short duration, strategically defined, followed by negotiation, then the moral calculus shifts. A limited strike backed by regional diplomatic architecture is not the same species of action as open-ended occupation, boots on the ground. But isn't that how we all get into all these foreign wars, I ask myself, all these forever wars? Okay, so what about forever wars? Every American carries Iraq and Afghanistan in their bones now. We always will. No one wants 20 more years of ambiguity, drift, and defeat, and asking yourself, what the hell was that all about? But here's the question that we have to model honestly. Is refusing to act, even when action might prevent something larger, actually be the safer path? If a regime funds proxies across Lebanon, Gaza, Yemen, Iraq, if it arms militias, threatens choke points for maritime travel, pursues advanced weapons capability, like ballistic missiles, and I am discounting all the nuclear talk because I've heard that for 30 years. At what point does our inaction create the very forever war we fear? I come at this differently so so when you're trying to make your decision, you understand mine. I believe we're already in World War III. I believe we are going to be fighting the armies of Islam in the future. And the head of that snake, a very dangerous head of that snake, are the 12ers that were running Iran. They are the most dangerous of any Islamic cult, okay? And sometimes refusing to act early guarantees a bigger conflict later. But this is not oh, yep, I know this is it. But peace is not being passive. Peace is stability enforced. Okay. Also, we have the people that were killed on the streets. But why not Sudan then? This one I wrestled with this weekend, and this is so uncomfortable because thousands have been slaughtered in Sudan just for being Christian, okay? Christians persecuted, horrors everywhere. So why not take that on? This is a really nasty thing, but this has to be said. We have to understand this. A nation cannot survive and act purely on moral horror, okay? We can't, or we would be everywhere. Strategic impact, regional domino effects, alliance commitments, nuclear proliferation risks, direct threats to our citizens. What makes this different than the Sudan is Iran sits at the center of multiple global pressure points simultaneously: energy, shipping lanes, proxy networks, nuclear ambition, terrorism, and CRINK, which I'll get into in a little while, which is so important. If you miss CRINK, you don't understand what he's doing at all. Sudan is tragic, horrific and tragic. Iran is systemic. That doesn't make the suffering unequal in value at all. It just makes the geopolitical stakes unequal in scale. And that is not hypocrisy. It is statescraft. Okay? So, is this different? It may be. And not because war is good, but because peace groundwork, I believe, was laid first if you look at what he's trying to do in the Middle East. Regional players were brought into the ownership like I've never seen before. The strike appears to be limited and precise. There is no declared ambition for occupation. We don't want to be there. The president has a record of preferring leverage over quagmire. This could end badly. Zealots are patient. Retaliation likely. Sleeper networks are real. But it is equally possible that removing the head of this regime while surrounding it with economic normalization will produce a collapse inward rather than an explosion outward. And that didn't exist in 2003.